YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. Hope y'all enjoyed yesterday's video talking about a jerkbait and how we fish it wrong a lot of times. You know, I definitely fall victim to that, especially if you get lazy in the water or you're just not as focused as you should be. Hope that video helps you kind of hone that in a little bit and get a little bit better on the water and learn a few of those cadences that'll help you catch more bass. But today's video, guys, what we're going to be talking about is fishing lineups, and not just any lineups, but angles and setting up on docks and deep water structure and things like that. It's really, really important. Angles are everything in bass fishing. If you don't have the right one, a lot of times you're not catching the right bass. So, hey, real fast, let's just do this real quick. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you do so. It's super easy. It's the bottom right-hand corner. And like the video if you can. That really, really helps me out. Just hit that like button, little thumbs up, or even hit the thumbs down if you don't like it. But the more you like my video, the more I know that this is the kind of content that you want to see. So without that, I don't really know. So I really appreciate if you did that. So let's just go ahead and jump right on into this. When it comes to fishing angles, it all depends on the type of cover I'm fishing and the conditions that I have outside. Is it super windy? Is it calm? Is it cloudy? Is it sunny? Am I fishing docks? Am I fishing deep structure? Am I fishing a bush up shallow? All depends on those certain situations. Today I'm going to talk to you about two things. I'm going to either talk to you about deep cover, like we'll just say a ledge that hits a creek channel, where you should sit, where you shouldn't sit. And then also I'm going to talk about docks and creating those perfect lineup on docks where you get the maximum amount of chance to catch fish. You're also going to see some footage of me catching a few fish actually while shooting a TV show for Let's Fish TV, and basically calling my shots as to where these fish were going to be because I knew exactly what I was looking for. But first off, we'll talk about deep structure. You know, not all deep structure is created equal. And a lot of it depends on if you have any wind or if it's really calm outside. So in the case of this video, I'll give you a scenario. It's really, you know, the wind's blowing. It's not blowing hard, but you have that light breeze like you get this time of year. And your fish are set up on a creek channel bend on the high spot on the outside. So there's a couple different ways you could fish this. You could actually sit in the actual bend itself, throw up on the shelf and drag it down. But here's a different method. This is one that I learned at Toledo Bend a long time ago, and I think it probably works just as good or better than a lot of the others. So what I actually like to do is I will sit, if this is the creek channel bend right here, and this is the outside bend, and these fish are sitting in this outside bend, instead of sitting in the actual bend and casting up on it, I'll sit up on the flat that's back here and cast into the channel and drag it up. What this does is it allows you to have contact with those fish that fall down in that channel itself and give you maximum chance to catch those fish all the way up the drop and the ones that are sitting on the flat. If you're sitting in the channel itself and casting up onto the flat and dragging it down, 9 times out of 10, you're missing those fish that are on the drop-off, especially if you're throwing a deep diving crankbait or any type of moving bait, because there's almost no way that you can take that bait and it goes straight down that ledge and set up on that creek channel. So it's really, really hard to position in that situation. Now, there are certain situations, if the wind's blowing across the creek channel, where you have to sit in it, and that's just the only way to fish it. But if I'm in a situation, especially where everybody's fishing deep structure, I like to sit on the flat, cast into the channel, drag it uphill and not downhill. That's definitely one of the ways I like to fish. The points are the same way. So if you're fishing a deep water point, there's a couple different ways you can sit on the point. If it's really calm outside, I might sit way off the point and make a really long cast. Therefore, I don't disrupt the point itself or scare the fish. You know, because I'm going to tell you guys, these fish are starting to get really used to our electronics, and I think they do scare the fish away. That sound, that ping, that constant ping. And if you're like a lot of anglers out there and you have, you know, multiple units running at once, you've got maybe a 360 and a live scope and side view and down view and all these other views, and that makes all these different pings, and your boat's making a ton of noise, way more than you could ever imagine. And it actually came, you know, you know that there, you know, sound echoes in the water even more than we could realize. But yesterday I was in the pool, I dropped that camera at the bottom, I was doing that jerkbait video and I was reviewing the footage, and the rattle from that jerkbait, every time I jerk it down, it made so much noise. It was probably one of the loudest baits I could ever have thought it would be, and it's not that loud when you rattle it in your hand. So that's what those bass are hearing. It's echoing that sound all the way into the water. So that little light ping that you're hearing from your depth finder is making about 5 times the amount of noise under the water. So you have all those extra pings, definitely going to spook your fish. So staying way off those points, making those long casts are going to be the key on those super calm, high sun, bluebird days, definitely, so you don't spook those fish. That's also when you're going to downsize your line too. You're not going to use a 20-pound line. You might have to drop down to 15, 12, 10 in some situations, and that's definitely going to help you. But creating those particular lines, so in this sense, if this is the point and you're trying to angle this, I never sit down here and cast directly to the tip of the point. A lot of times I'll sit to the side at like a 45, and where I can hit the tip of the point, the side of the point, and the shallow side of the point. And therefore I can kind of work all 3 angles and create the perfect angle. And once I figure out exactly where those fish are positioned, I'll actually drop a buoy and try to hit that line every single time. Yes, our GPSs work great, but that buoy still has a place. And I'm talking about those little orange buoys. You throw them out, you mark your spot, and you sit there and cast. Now the fun part, talking about docks and fishing docks. I think docks are one of those particular types of cover that you can really fine-tune and hit and not waste a lot of time. Now, this always tends to work more importantly whenever the fish are suspended on the dock, but I like to create lines and angles. So in this video, you're going to actually see me roll up to edges of the docks, fire down the edge of the dock, and bring the bait down the edge. What this is going to do is it's going to create an ambush point. So the way I imagine it is the fish are sitting in that shade, they're looking out, and they're waiting in that shade for a bait fish, a perch, or something to swim by. And when it does, they eat it. Now if you sit there and you just cast towards the edge of the dock, you're pulling those fish away. So if I cast down the edge of the dock, I bring that bait down the edge, a lot of times I'm going to catch that fish. And that goes for just about any type of moving bait. It doesn't have to just be a Thunder Cricket, a KVD 1.5. You can do it with a swim jig. You can do it with a lot of different things, swim baits, stuff like that. When it comes to fishing slow moving baits, that's when you're really trying to pick apart the cover, whether it's dock post, finding a ladder, finding something that's different, and creating those angles. So like, here's an explanation. So there's a lot of times you can get on a pattern on docks and find out exactly where those big fish are sitting. Sometimes they're sitting on the walkway, the front corners, the ends, the sides, and there's always a spot that if you find that particular place, you can run that pattern all over the lake. So you create that angle. So like if, let's just say for instance, they're on the walkway, the number one way to fish a walkway is to kind of line up on the bank if you can and fire that cast up under there, and that's how you're going to catch those fish. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope you learned about angles and lines here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing, and to help you fine tune it and to kind of think outside the box, dragging it uphill, sitting off to a 45 off the point instead of sitting off the end, and lining up on those docks. It's definitely going to help you catch more bass. I use these tricks just about everywhere I go, and I promise you they work, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.